start slowing down. Things in front of you early on were fast, and you don't know what you're looking at. Whereas now the game's slowed down for him. He's communicating better, and then the guys around him are seeing it the same way. So all these guys, that's what we've challenged these guys the next 2 weeks at camp. Like, who do you want to be? You want to be a great player? You want to take the next step? Then that's what we have to do. And that starts with fundamentals and skills and building those things so that can match the talent level we have, because he's a talented guy that needs to play that way. Elite, best, number one.
Let's just say his athleticism, how does that translate to it? How does that help you? How does that help a run game?
Everything. I mean, if you're asking guys to do, whatever style play you're doing, right? If he can handle a guy more in a single block than having to double team with an inside guy all the time, that probably helps schematically. But that just depends on what we're doing, right? The biggest thing with him, though, is like he loves ball. It's really important to him. He wants to know the why, and then he's got a little roughness to him. So the toughness, like that's also a skill set. Like you build that, and that's one of his high qualities too. So whether we're asking him to reach block, back block, pull, whatever those may be, if you have toughness with it, on top of wanting to do it and knowing what you're doing, then you can play at a high level.
For you, being your first camp with this group, what are some of the priorities? What are some of the things you're looking for out of the whole line unit?
Base, bend, balance, and burst. That'll never change. I'm not trying to cut the question off, but great offensive linemen play with great base and great bend. They're in balance. They're not on the ground, and they burst. They run off the ball. They pass set with urgency. They know what they're doing, and they play really, really fast. And so as a coach, I can't say, oh, we're looking pretty good, we're veteran guys, let's go on to something in right field, because at the end of the day, I said this in the spring when I first got here, so it's going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but you got to work those techniques and fundamentals and put those in the toolbox every day, because you have to pull those out in the middle of the game, because it's blocking and tackling. We block them, they don't sack CJ, they don't tackle the running backs, balls down the field. If we don't block them, then they tackle us, and that's as elementary as it gets. So we try to stay focused on that, and every day what we're working, why are we working it, and how fast can we put it in the toolbox so that on September 3rd, when we need to pull that out, it's shiny and polished and ready to go.
How are you seeing the depth come along right now? Are you seeing guys that you're feeling confident in?
Yeah, I think. Well, we just had the pads on for 2 days now, so this week, right, will be it's the grind. It's necessary to make the system work, and so you get through. So some of those young guys that developed in the summer, they got more comfortable in the summer. All of a sudden, you put the pads back on, it starts flashing a little bit. You got to see those guys play. They've got to feel the physicality, the friction. So as we get through this week and the next couple of weeks, that's when you really start to try to maybe pencil guys in or shift some guys around. But right now, we got to go play ball. We've got to identify those younger guys that can creep their way up the depth chart.
I know, Zen Mihalski, Josh Frye, a couple of guys as backup tackle spots. Just what are you seeing from both of them?
Right now, they're just working. They're buying in. I mean, that's just every guy. There's not a guy out there right now that's kind of showing up, and we're talking about taking reps or using reps. Those guys are using their opportunities. They're using reps. Whether they win the rep or lose the rep, they're using those right now. Those guys, as you said, the young tackles, Enix in there working his butt off. You got all the young, Jacob James is back and feeling good and fighting. So as you just work your way down the youth of that, these guys right now they're all just working, and it'll shake out as it goes.
What you saw in the practice, you had all the true freshmen working with tackles. How much of that is the depth of the tackle position right now versus the philosophy of what you want to do with young guys here?
I think it's a little bit of both. The speed of if a guy can potentially play out there, then you get the guy on the edge so that he feels the speed of the game out there. And then as you move in, you feel more of the physicality versus if you start everybody hunker down inside and then you try to work out, it's just a different animal out on the island. So I think it's a good teaching progression for those guys if they can handle it. And those guys can, of learning the speed, learning the things out there, and then kind of reeling it back if you need to. No. You recruit a guy saying you're going to work at this position. Those guys came in, knowing what they were looked at to be. But the good thing, you got to play the 5 best, right? Across the country you see that where, you would love to slot, this guy's a tackle, this guy's a guard, this guy's this. But if your backup right tackle is not number 6, and you got to slide the right guard out to be right tackle, so there's 6 best guys, the backup right guard, you have to play your 5 best. And so the more you can just see what guys can do, the more comfort they can have doing a couple of tasks. You can't spread them too thin, but at the same time, like I said, with those young guys, you start with speed, you start them in space, see how that handles, and then see where you can move them from there.
Justin, you and Mike seem to be the most maybe hands-on or intense coaches on the practice field. I don't know if you agree with that assessment, but would that be a nature of the position you coach or your personalities?
Well, it's not a competition. Obviously I'm way younger than Kevin Wilson, so I'll probably have a little more juice than Kev, right? You can tell him I said that too. No,
I will.
But I played it. That's the way to coach, man. They feel you. They got to feel your passion. You can't stand back there and just bark at a dude and cross your arms and look at your script. If you're in it with them, if you're passionate with them, they feel that, then they'll thrive off that. So, I mean, that's not even really, that's just me. You know? And then I look for guys like that, and that's what Mike does. I mean, there's 4 eyes and 2 mouths seeing the same thing, and that's the most important thing. It's not a different message. It's not, hey, you need to do this because I want this. That's who he is too, and I think our guys they like that.
Not to compare or even compete, just what's been the feedback for the way you run a practice? I mean, I know you had 15 of them in spring, so they've had an acclimation with that, but how do they like what you guys bring in?
They like to get better. They, meaning every player in the history of the game. These guys especially, they're craving coaching and teaching and getting better. So once again, I don't think they're looking for like a certain personality type, but if the player and the kid feels that you care about them, you're pushing them, and you're trying to maximize them, and you're making them better, then that's all that matters, and that's what every one of these guys is. There's no pushback. There's no, right? They're all at a different skill set or level, but at the end of the day, you just got to make your guys better. That's the most important thing. Right? So I'm gonna look for that.
Justin, those 4 B's that you mentioned, is that new to your guys? Is that something, or are you just kind of is it new lingo for, things that they may have been used to previously?
I think that's the game in itself. Yeah. Maybe the verbalization of that might be new, but I mean, that's we could bring my daughter and my wife out here and ask them, like, can you block a guy when your toes are together and you're standing straight, or would you ever have your legs wide? Lauren Frye would be like, well, you probably need a base, right? So I think just the emphasis and the verbalization of that as an emphasis, and then when we go to drills, we're drilling this, and here's why. I got you, coach. Then if they can see it, then they start putting that picture together.
Justin, how has Paris continued to kind of get acclimated to the space at tackle compared to where he was last year inside?
Reps. Busted his butt all summer, getting comfortable in space. All the stuff you said, he's just working. It comes with the speed and the space, and then you got a guy like Zach Harrison and JJB and Jack and JT, and you got dudes across from you rushing you every day. You better get acclimated pretty quick, and he's doing it.
When he kind of first made that switch back, did you see him having to have to get used to that again? And then I guess where he's at now.
Absolutely, because just what we talked about earlier. He was inside for 12, 14 games.
Yeah.
And then now you get moved on the island. It's flashing a little quicker there. But the guy's tough, too. He's a fighter. He wants to be great. Like everything he does is because he just wants to be great. So looking at those guys. And once again, I'm new here, so sometimes well, this guy's talking cliches. No, it's just fact. He wants to be a really good player. He asks for the tools to be a good player. He takes those to the skill set and those tools to when he's live, and then they start working, and that's when you build confidence. And he's doing that right now.
Justin, you've already been asked about it. Go ahead.
I was just wondering about the decision to put Donovan and Paris together and Matt and Dewan together. Is that more about comfortability with those guys, or is there something you like about how their skill sets sort of complement each other that you want to put them on?
I feel like our guards are explosive, powerful, tough guys, and our tackles can do the skill sets we need them to do. So there wasn't something really deep about to be more simpatico left and him to the right or that. There was none of that, no.
Kevin insinuated that maybe Donovan was getting that left guard time because if you had to move him outside, that would be an easier adjustment.
Yeah, that just goes to what we talked about. You got to play your 5 best. So that's what camp's for, right? You get going, like we said, we build the depth, and the 2 start showing up, and then this guy. Who's the next guy in the game, and how do you shuffle your checker pieces to make sure that you're covered on the board? So could that be a piece? Yeah, maybe if we need it to be. But I don't know that yet because we haven't even been in. We have full pads on yet. We're just still working on the uppers. So that's what we're finding out this week.
Justin, Ryan in the spring kind of called the unit out, wanting to see more depth, and I know you've already been asked about how the depth's coming on. But did you see guys like Zen, like Jacob James, those guys who were borderline in the 2 deep? Did you see them take that as a challenge this offseason?
Yeah, we all did, right? Myself included, right? So yeah, the summertime was great. They came out, they worked when we weren't here. There was. It's not extra work. It's what you do it till you know it, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, we got to get extra work in." If you don't know it or you don't have it, it's really extra. There's no timestamp on it. And those guys worked this summer, and they are comfortable. Like we said, we just got to keep practicing. We got to go watch this tape, see the good today, the bad today, the ugly today, and trim the fat and keep working. But yeah, like I said, everyone included took that. We got to build that, and then that's what we're going to do. And so we attacked that. They attacked that individually, and we did it as a unit. And get through camp, see where we're at.
How much has DeWan's transformation changed what he's able to do?
I mean, it's gonna. If you could go in the weight room and walk around all day with like a 45 or a 50-pound plate on your back, and then the next day you took it off, you're gonna move a lot better. So, anytime a guy gets in great shape, it's gonna help. I didn't do 60. I'm not saying that, but yeah, and same deal. Once they get a little taste and they see the success and they bear a little fruit and the understanding of what's going on, that's huge for those guys. Right?